You know, between about 1400 and 1700, Europe didn't just change. It was totally reborn. We're talking about two massive overlapping movements, the Renaissance and the Reformation, that just ignited a revolution in art, science, and faith, and they sculpted the world we live in today. So we're going to dive into how this incredible transformation happened, one big idea at a time.
And I love this idea of waking up from a long sleep, because it just perfectly captures the vibe of the era, right? It was this period of rediscovering knowledge that had been lost for centuries, and finding this powerful, thrilling new sense of what humans could do. It was a genuine awakening.
So, what does happen? That's really the big question we're digging into here. This wasn't just about a few new paintings or some new churches. Nope, it was about a fundamental shift in how people saw themselves and their place in the entire universe.
Okay, so to really get this awakening, you gotta understand what things were like before. Europe was just clawing its way out of the Middle Ages, a time that was really marked by these brutal, devastating wars and the incredible trauma of the Black Death. People were exhausted, they were searching for answers, and they were deeply, deeply ready for something new.
And right on cue, that's where the Renaissance steps onto the stage. The word itself literally means rebirth. It all kicked off in the bustling city-states of Italy, and it was this very deliberate, intentional return to the art, the literature, and the science of ancient Greece and Rome, sparking a total explosion of creativity and curiosity.
Now, the philosophical engine driving all of this, it was something called humanism. The focus just flipped. Instead of looking only to the heavens for all the answers, thinkers and artists began to celebrate what human beings could accomplish right here, right now, on Earth. And the peak, the absolute ideal of this way of thinking, was the Renaissance man. This was the idea of a person who could excel in a whole range of fields. We're talking art, music, science, philosophy, you name it. A true master of all trades. I mean, who's the poster child for this? It has to be Leonardo da Vinci. There's just no better example. The same guy who painted the Mona Lisa was also designing flying machines and meticulously studying human anatomy. And you see this same celebration of human power and potential perfectly captured in Michelangelo's incredible sculpture, David. It was a new age of pure genius.
And this new spirit of just questioning everything, it absolutely lit a fire under the world of science. You had guys like Copernicus and Galileo who challenged centuries of belief by proving that, nope, the Earth is not the center of the universe. At the very same time, doctors were challenging old traditions by literally looking inside the human body, laying the groundwork for modern medicine.
Okay, but think about it. How did all these incredible, world-changing ideas get around so fast? Before this period, books were these priceless treasures, painstakingly copied out one letter at a time, by hand. Then, the invention of the printing press changed absolutely everything. Suddenly, knowledge could be mass-produced. And seriously, calling it the internet of its time isn't an exaggeration at all. The printing press allowed ideas to travel farther and faster than anyone could have imagined, breaking down old barriers and connecting thinkers across the entire continent. It was a total information revolution.
So you can see where this is going, right? This new culture of questioning everything, of looking at the original source for yourself. It was only a matter of time before it turned its gaze toward the most powerful institution in all of Europe, the Church.
And that brings us to the Reformation. This was nothing short of a religious earthquake that rocked Europe. Starting in the 16th century, it really grew from this deep well of frustration with the Catholic Church, which a lot of people felt had just become way too focused on money and worldly power, and had kind of lost its spiritual way.
People were seeing a lot of corruption. They were especially furious about the sale of something called indulgences. For a fee, you could literally buy a piece of paper that promised to reduce your time in purgatory. One notorious seller even had a jingle. As soon as a coin in the coffer rings, the soul from purgatory springs. To a lot of people, it looked like the church was just selling salvation.
So into this powder keg of frustration walks this German priest, a guy named Martin Luther. And in 1517, he famously nailed his 95 Theses, basically a list of 95 arguments against church practices, to a church door. And this wasn't just random vandalism. The church door was like the town's public bulletin board. He was making a very public challenge.
And at the absolute core of Luther's argument was this incredibly revolutionary idea. Your faith was a personal matter between you and God. You didn't need an institution or a priest or some purchased piece of paper to find salvation.
This was a radical shift in power, away from the institution and toward the individual.
But for this personal faith to actually work, one thing was crucial. The Bible had to be accessible to everyone. So it was translated from the elite Latin into common languages like German and English. For the first time ever, regular people could read the scriptures for themselves, interpret them, and form their own beliefs. This empowerment led directly to the creation of new Protestant churches.
So you've got these two tectonic plates shifting at the same time. One is intellectual, the other is spiritual. And their combined force didn't just tweak Europe, it completely forged a new continent from the ground up.
And when you put them side by side like this, the differences really pop. You have the Renaissance, championed by geniuses like Da Vinci, which was all about a rebirth of art and learning. And then the Reformation, led by thinkers like Martin Luther, which was a revolution in faith. You could say one gave us modern science and art, while the other reshaped our very ideas about freedom and our relationship with God.
And the fallout from all this, it was massive, and it changed everything. As the church's universal political power began to crack, powerful new nations started to rise up. Education exploded, since both movements stressed how important it was to be able to read and learn. But this change also brought incredible violence. Deep religious divisions plunged Europe into brutal, devastating wars that lasted for decades.
Okay, so why should we care about all this stuff from, 500 years ago? Well, it's because the world these two movements built is, in so many ways, the world we are living in right now. Their legacies are literally all around us.
Think about it. Every time you get excited about a scientific breakthrough, or you're moved by a piece of art, or even just ask the simple question, why? That's the legacy of the Renaissance, alive and well. It is the foundation of our modern world's emphasis on exploration and knowledge.
And hey, every time we stand up for freedom of speech or freedom of belief, or just the basic idea that no power should go unchallenged, you're hearing the echo of the Reformation. It planted the seeds for modern democracy and for our rights as individuals.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. You have the Renaissance, which valued what we could achieve. And you have the Reformation, which valued what we could believe. They are the twin pillars of the modern world. So think about it. Which one of those ideas do you think shapes your world more today? The answer might tell you a lot about the world we've all inherited.